Hello, I'd like to welcome to the podcast none other than Ate Romina Nanyagas. Hi.
Hi,
W- welcome to the podcast, Ate.
I'm super shy.
Finally, right?
Hello,
Been a long
hello.
time coming.
Yeah,
So how have you
I
been
I hope I
during the
hmm.
whole pandemic quarantine? Let us know everything
Okay.
like you've been up to and how you've been feeling maybe mentally also.
Um, I love the question. How are you doing? Because I think it's a lot more complicated these days and complicated in a good way. Because people really need things. So I think that's one thing I appreciate. How am I doing mental health wise and everything wise? Um, I'm very grateful because I know I have been a lot luckier than most people. I was able to pivot my career, and I know how lucky that is considering how many people, millions, have lost jobs. Um, but that also doesn't mean that being grateful means that you're immune to the stress and the feeling of being in a cage and being very
Yes.
limited. So, admittedly, like everybody else, I have my good days, I have my bad days. Sometimes it's even you have your good hours and your bad hours because so many things can shift in a day. But um, overall, I'm really grateful and I don't take it for granted. So when I have a little extra from my cup, really trying to do my best so others can have a fuller cup, I guess.
Yeah, oh wow, that's beautiful, Ate. So I know that that's actually very well said, very beautifully said, and I know that a lot of us may have been lucky, but also in the mental health sense, a lot of us have suffered too. And I wanted to speak to you more about that, like mental health. What were the things that helped you cope, or who, and yeah, maybe you can expound on that one.
Okay. As you know, I love the mental health question because it's so long overdue, and I'm really glad that this generation is very very open to it. I myself have a psychiatrist that I go to, and I have no shame in saying that, and it feels wonderful to be able to come from a place where you no longer feel ashamed to say, yes, I do go to my psychiatrist. No,
Yes.
please don't label me a basket case. Let me educate you, right? It feels
That's
good that
correct. Yeah.
we're in that position. What has really helped me cope would be, well, you, Erin, of course, so
Oh.
family and friends. I mean, you yourself have been witness to one of my breakdowns, and I'm so thankful that you were there. And again, I don't take these things for granted because I know so many people have had to go without their comfort people, and that's tough.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing that really helped me cope mentally speaking would be how do I say mental discipline focus. I really committed to working out almost every day
Yes.
because it really helps. I mean, physically wise and endorphins wise, it really helps. And apart from the apart from the physical part, mental discipline for me is, I know this sounds crazy, but I still dress up every day, and it's a ritual for me to get up, choose my outfit, do
Yeah.
my skincare, um, wear my minimal everyday go-to face makeup, kasi it still makes me feel like there's a sense
Going
of
out.
normalcy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like a
and
form of routine.
yes, and a form of really taking care of yourself, and it always feels good. And it means you have hope eh. Naglagay ka pa ng earrings eh. You still wore
Yeah,
or you bother to choose your shade of lipstick. Girl, you're still
that's
shading.
true.
You're still taking care of
That's yeah.
yourself.
And in a way, kind of
Right?
subconsciously tells your brain that no, everything's fine, everything's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. When really it's like
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. And I think the third thing that has really helped me, um, it's sort of okay. So you know that we can't physically really travel or have adventures, and you know me, I'm an adventure person. You catch me at
Yes.
street parties, at art shows, traveling at the drop of a hat. So early on in the pandemic, I conditioned my mind that okay, because really am taking this time to take on classes, learn new skills, even if they're just silly things that I won't be good at, like cocktail making or baking hates me, but it's just the act of expanding within because I can't really, expand physically like out there. So I guess mental health wise, those are my three things.
I love that. I love the whole expanding within because we can't do it. Wow, I love that. So
Yeah.
you mentioned baking and cocktail making. What are the other passion projects that you've worked on last year, this year, during the whole
Okay.
quarantine
The
season?
quarantine thing.
I know you
It's
have a
such a
lot.
cliche.
Yeah.
Okay, most I'll start with the most cliche.
Okay.
So just like everyone, suddenly I turned into a home chef.
Yes, and might I
I
add, very, very good one. Designated cook of the household.
so the cooking was one thing, and it became my little act of creativity because it feels wonderful to kind of picture how something is gonna taste. So it's kind of like putting an outfit or an artwork together, and you can see it in your mind and taste it on your tongue, and then you just mixing things. So the cooking, as cliche as it sounds, um, is one. The other one would be the next cliche would be I brushed up on my French and my Spanish
Yes.
Montano. At least I hope so. I hope I speak better today and now. And then, um, and the least cliche one, I think, would be passion project wise, would be working on my advocacy project and my PR
Yes, yes,
my PR craft. I've
yes.
been very yeah, I have been so lucky to be able to have my own PR practice with two friends that I love dearly and most importantly respect um, as geniuses in their own field. And I'm so lucky I get to work with them every day. And then we've even managed to put my other passion point, my advocacy for long-term community development and restoration of Aita lands. So
Wow.
yeah, I guess those are the ones that are the least cliche ones.
So, you mentioned your PR projects that I know you're very, very passionate about. Can you maybe expound a little bit more about that or share a little bit? Because, we all know that you are the PR expert of Metro
Uh,
Manila, PR guru.
I well, I wish I could say I'm one of the top PR people, but there are so many brilliant ones, my mentors included, and they're heading these huge PR firms here and even abroad. So I'm just so lucky that I was able to learn from them. For my PR craft, um, so just the PR in a nutshell is it's basically getting the right people to tell your story or your brand story the right way at the right time and in the right platforms. That it
Oh,
sounds so
wow.
simple,
Yes.
but it's tricky because you how do you it's basically influencing your influencer, but there are so many steps to it. Like first, you have to know your brand inside out. Otherwise, you don't know who would influence the audience of your brand. So
Mhm.
how could you influence the influencer if you haven't identified who the influencer is, right?
Wow.
And yeah, and then getting to know the audience that you want for your brand is a whole other thing in PR. Because it's not about your brand's perspective. You have to see things from your audience's perspective.
Mm.
How do they see your brand, or how do you want them to see you? And why do you want them to see you that way? And um, if they don't see you the way you want them to see you, what's the problem and how can we change that? So PR is influencing the influencer, and at the same time it's very much um, inceptioning perception and
Wow.
twisting it. I
Whoa.
don't want to say, I don't
Yeah.
want to say twisting it, but changing the perception see your brand.
So okay for opening and sharing to us a bit about that one, Ate. But now I'm gonna get to the more like deep questions. Something that I always like asking
Okay.
people that go on my podcast. So the first thing I think I'd ask would be, so we had a lot of time to reflect, during the whole 2020 and even now
Until
2021.
now. Yeah.
What are the intangible things that Romina makes her feel rich in? So it's like anything intangible that make you feel rich.
My gosh, Erin, that's such a deep question. Intangible thing that makes me feel rich.
Yeah.
Um, okay, cliche would really be the amount of love and hope in my circle or in my community. I've known a lot of people um, who have had a more difficult time with the bubble that they ended up bubbling with,
Yeah.
quarantining
Yeah.
with. So fortunate. Like, yeah, I pretty much enjoy my bubble. I mean, obviously everyone needs to have their own space and get away once in a while, but
Yep.
overall, it's been a really good bubble. Really enjoy each other's company.
Mm-mm.
Other tangible that I find very, I guess, rich and something, especially with regard to 2020, would be the the amount of unlearning and learning that I've been able to do in
Mm.
2020. Yeah,
That's
there's a
interesting.
lot of
What would be the
unlearning.
unlearning part? Like, would you care to share about that, or is it a bit personal?
No, no, no. Unlearning is when you realize that there are maybe behaviors or beliefs, and it's not about blaming yourself or what, but maybe because of circumstances that happen to you in life, and there are beliefs or behaviors that are not serving you so well, so you have to
Mm.
unlearn them. I guess I'll try to give an example of something that I unlearned.
Yes.
Okay, so I have always somehow believed that to make money that is worthwhile, it needs to be very difficult. I.e., if
Mm.
you're not overtiming like crazy, or you're not like practically dying in your job, then
Mm.
you're not going to make money. But the but it doesn't need to be that way. Why would you accept that?
Mm-mm.
You I had to unlearn that money needs to be difficult to make. Money doesn't need to be difficult to make, and it's about having like a healthier relationship, I guess, with
Mm,
money.
that's such a good
Um,
realization.
yeah, like I had to really unlearn that idea na it has to be difficult, otherwise you're not gonna earn, right?
Mm-mm.
So I had to unlearn that so that was one of my big unlearning. And then habits that I facing for myself. I have always hated like the admin side of things, like when I was in agency, and you have to file like your phone call so that you can charge the company for official money.
Yeah.
Processes so much that I actually lost a lot of money because I was just too lazy
To do
to do that
that.
thing, like,
Mm.
I have to like do my reimbursements. But then I realized like that's something I have to face if I truly want to be a business owner, or heading my own little PR consultancy. I need to unlearn that bad attitude and bad habit towards admin tasks,
I
and
see.
really embrace being more organized, and you know loving the process of streamlining things, maayos all your books, where your contracts are at, where you're, yeah. So yeah, facing
Mm-mm.
those things about myself that I had to unlearn. And yeah,
Oh. Okay. So anything more intangible things that made you feel rich during this time?
intangible things that mean, okay, this sounds so pa cute, so just
That's
bear with
fine. You're
me.
allowed to be cute here on the podcast.
Okay, so I learned the richness of the tiny adventures, or adventures in tiny, as what I call it.
Mm.
So, Erin, you know that I'm the biggest like travel at the drop of a hat.
Yes.
Parang Dubai, Paris, Zagreb. I've
Mm-mm.
been there, Hong Kong, whatever.
You're really the jet
Um,
setter,
I hope,
diba?
but I learned to see the richness of adventures in tiny. So um, the world got smaller, but the adventures didn't need to feel smaller. So I learned to appreciate what you see and observe on your everyday 2 kilometer walk within your village.
Mm.
Truly appreciating the flowers, seeing the seasons change a little bit, seeing, actually finding out that we have at least 4 species of different birds in the
Yeah,
village.
and I've been a witness to
Actually,
that, right?
yeah, and then I
Because when
really
we would
spot them
walk,
now.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, there's the like olive
because
back yellow sunbird.
yeah,
Yeah.
because for context, Atermine and I sometimes would go walking in her village, in their village, and she would show me all these birds or bats. I think that she
Yeah,
found.
there was a bat.
There was even a dead bat that she saw, and I'm like, how do you see those things? 'Cause I completely just ignore them. Yeah,
So there is that richness in being so present that even your adventures in tiny, you appreciate as much as you appreciate exploring a street in Paris or a
wow, I like
hench-back
that.
street in Hong Kong. So the
Yeah.
richness of rediscovering adventures in tiny.
So you mentioned learning and unlearning earlier. Now if you were to go back in time hypothetically, with all the things that you've learned and unlearned, let's say
Mm-hmm.
you were able to, meet 18-year-old Romina. President Romina was able to meet 18-year-old Romina. What would you tell her? Like, what advice could you give her? That 18-year-old
Okay, well,
Romina.
first off, 18-year-old Romina was rebellious,
Oh,
rocker, dreadlock wearing Romina.
dreadlock.
Yeah, so it was like really a crazy time in my life. Um, what I would tell my 18-year-old self is it it all works out,
Oh yeah,
surprisingly.
yeah.
And number two would be choose your company wisely.
That's true.
And number three would be, I'm so excited for you. There are so many
What?
adventures that you're going to have.
Aw.
And I guess the last would be don't worry, your fashion sense will get better. No, just kidding. Uh, I think it
But you're
would
great
be
already. You're
calm
already
down. You don't
oh,
need to
from when you were
be so
18.
angry.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, and calm. Yeah, there, calm down. You don't need to be so angry.
I see. Were you an angry 18-year-old? Could you say?
Rebellious.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess now, since a lot of us are struggling, you just said you were struggling mental health wise. Also, I am too, or I did, but slowly we're trying to get back up there again. What do you think is the best advice now that you could give to anyone listening and is still struggling on that mental sense? Still don't know how to get it together,
To
maybe
cope.
having a hard time to wake up in the morning, find purpose.
That's hard. The first thing I would tell them would be, "Hey, breathe,
It's
one
gonna
breath
be
at a
fine, no?
time." Yeah. Doesn't need to be a good day. We make it together the next 30 minutes. Great. After the next 30, we do another 30. And you're not alone. And it I will never ever deny that it doesn't, or I will never deny how you feel. And I respect how you feel right now. And um, breathe through it. There's no way out but through. But it doesn't mean you have to go through it alone. We're
Mm-mm.
all holding hands, digitally speaking. And it doesn't need to even be 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. Breathe. Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. That's the
Gonna
only way.
cry. I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah. Moving forward at the ROMs, now we're in a new year, 2021. What are the things you are most excited about? Any projects or even if it's not projects, just anything at all that's, you know,
Exciting.
yeah,
Yeah.
moving forward.
Moving forward. I love that. Moving
Yeah.
forward means you have hope and you see a future.
Mm-mm.
I think I mean obviously like our family stuff I'm excited about. Um I'm excited about there's some projects I can't talk about yet, but very excited about those that I'm working on. And I'm excited to sort of see how businesses that have sprouted last year will grow pa further. Or I guess maybe this is so naive, ha? But I'm excited to see how hopefully people will make the new normal, the new better,
Mm-mm.
because we have a chance to make things better this time around.
That's true. Beautiful, beautiful. Take a bow.
such a such a cliche answer. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So, okay, at the Rams, just to summarize everything, is there anything else, that last minute thoughts or anything on your mind that you want to share to the listeners?
Oh gosh. First off, if you got this far, listening and watching me, and I thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. People don't do it enough, and I don't know if I'm worthy of your attention, but I'm grateful. And then second would be, I really hope something magical happens to every person who's listening, because God, we all need a little bit of magic
Yeah,
and a surprise these days.
very true.
I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Ate Rowena, for joining me this afternoon. Finally, we
I hope it's
finally made a
okay.
podcast. That's great.
I'm so shy.
I'm so excited. I know you're so shy.
I know it's like okay. Okay, this is like a shameless plug, but bear with me. we're selling trees. No, I don't mean plantito, plantita style. I mean there are there are Aita
Yes.
communities we work with who have been rendered very vulnerable because there's no tourism. So we have started selling trees that they're paid to plant, so it's still dignified income. Please head on to, and we have a special project now with Nadine Lustre and For the
Yes.
Future. Yeah,
Miss
so I'm with Mad Travel Kasam, or Make a Difference Travel. So please head on to just find them For the Future on Instagram or on online, and then you'll see the 88K tree project. And you can buy a seed for as low as 50 pesos. So can you
Very.
imagine, like, if every Filipino just donated 50 pesos for a seed, we would have 120 million trees. So 50 pesos is all it takes. We have GCash, we have Union Bank. Please, please, please find us, find For the Future or follow Nadine Lustre, and then you'll see the 88K tree project. Thank you.
Well, there you go, guys. 50 pesos per seed. You heard it from Miss Romina herself. You can head to For the Future on Instagram. So there, that's where you can find her. You can also message her and speak to her if you guys are more curious about it. So thank you so much, Miss Romina. And yeah, guys. Thank you.
I'll see you, Erin. Okay. Bye.